What was the dumbest thing you ever did to try and impress a girl or guy? Getting up from the bleachers to play dodgeball. I tried to pull my sweatpants off while yelling let's do this. Ended up yanking off everything. Boxes and all. I lied and said I had experience in journalism because I didn't think we'd have anything except a brief encounter when I'd actually only taken one class in college. Our first date he took me with to report on a local clash between police and citizens and I got tear gassed and robbed. When I was a teen I took taekwondo classes and there were two beautiful girls around my age. They liked to go and have a smoke behind the mall before class and I wanted to be cool and impress them so I took up smoking too. It was about 2 weeks in when one girl came to class early so I went and had a smoke with her. Then the next girl came in and wanted to have a smoke. So I went and had another one with her. When we came back we started doing our warm-up laps and I felt very queasy. I had to throw up. So ran outside, right next to the Dairy Queen. I threw up all over the glass wall where the cashiers and several people eating looked on in horror. Tried to backflip from a 5-meter diving board. There was no flipping involved. Just me falling on my back into a pool from 5 meters high. It didn't feel good. Don't know which one was more bruised, my back or my ego. I was in New Zealand. Was going to a beach party with some girls from the hostel I was staying at. To get to the party, you needed to take a $2 ferry across this inlet which was about 1 kilometer wide. I decided to swim it to impress the ladies. About halfway through I realized that I'm slowly being swept out to sea and I'm losing strength. I'm not sure how, but eventually I made it to the other shore, about 100 meters away from the pier. The ferry had docked about 2-3 minutes before me, and I just nonchalantly walked over to meet the girls, as if I hadn't swum against a current to near exhaustion and was swept out to sea. Good side, it worked and I ended up hooking up with one of the ladies. Bad side, the $2 was for a round trip, and I still had to pay $2 to get back once the party was over. On a 4th of July date after going out to dinner, I took her out on the lake in a canoe to watch the fireworks. It was awesome. Young macho me, of course, turned down her offer of help with a large canoe and I manhandled that thing like it was nothing. Put her in it while it was on the grass and continued manhandling it to show off just how strong I was. The next morning I had to call into work sick because my back muscles were so strained I couldn't get out of bed. My back was sore for over a week. Edit. Did it work? Don't kiss and tell is a good rule to live by. It allows respect for those you date and yourself. I was abroad in Dominican Republic. They had a dance competition on a stage. Anyone could enter and it had around 200 people watching. I was about 9-10ish and spotted a cute girl who must have been around 14-15. So obviously I decided the best way to get her attention was to get up on stage and dance my heart out. Cue 3 minutes of awkward shuffling, while maintaining constant eye contact with that girl, and horrified queasy looks from my parents. The coordinator cut me off early by pretending the speaker stopped working. I got a pity clap. Tried to raise a scooter down the steepest hill around. Crashed into the back of a funeral hearse and shattered the back window. There was a body inside and the family was outside waiting to either go to the cemetery or take the coffin inside. I got up, covered in blood and glass, grabbed my scooter and hobbled away to the nearest alleyway. In elementary school when I walked by this girl I liked I would pretend to chew gum and crack my knuckles cause I thought I'd look cool. Jesus. Learned how to wrap crack a bottle by Eminem. When I showed him I could he only knew the clean version and I knew the actual dirty version. Did a backflip from a tree about 5 feet up. Landed it, but the ground was slippery, and I used my hands to catch me falling backwards, and broke my wrist. 10th grade me, you were a ducking moron. Ran into a busy road and picked up a hedgehog. Wasn't run over, but my hand stung for a week. The guy I was seeing went on a vacation with his family for 2 weeks, and I had the key to his place to feed his cat. While he was gone, I painted his bathroom. He thought it was weird, but seemed mostly okay with it. But it worked. He married me in October. I made sure I was the one to return her jacket when she forgot it at school. When I gave it back to her the next morning she blamed me for stealing it. We didn't end up together. How this blew up. Thanks for my first platinum. For the people that were wondering, I did not steal the jacket. When I was 15, I dropped a heavy book on my head. It was this old dictionary, a single volume that was easily 8 inches thick and probably weighed 15 pounds. I laid down on the floor, held it over my head with my arms fully extended, and dropped it a foot and a half right onto my forehead. I guess either it would show how tough I was was not tough. It sorta worked because I dated her until freshman year of college. But that was likely in spite of my actions and not because of them. My first serious girlfriend is home alone and I think this might be the day I get off of second base. I'm all of 13, hormone-addled, and obviously confident this girl is the love of my life. It's midsummer and I know I can bike the 3-ish miles pretty quickly. I tell my parents I'm going to see my friend right around the block. They warn me that a thunderstorm is rolling in, and I tell them it takes no time to get there. 10 minutes later I'm only halfway there, terrified, crying, pedaling as hard as I can to go downhill against the wind. My all metal framed BMX knockoff Huffy doing its best to not get hit with lightning and fuse me to its shiny silver exterior forever. 30+ minutes after that, I pull into her garage and thank God that all the rain has hid the fact I've been ugly sobbing the entire way. Her parents then pull in as I'm literally hunched over trying to catch my breath. I tell them this was the only house I knew on the street and it would have been life-threatening to bike the rest of the way home in this storm. They smile, probably knowing it was a lie, and treated me to a nice dinner. It ends with a very awkward drive home with her father, my bike in the back of his truck. Thanks for the platinum, stranger. I'm so happy this random event in my life made so many people smile. Edit 2. The distance has to be wrong. The wind was incredibly strong and made me travel at the pace of a fast walk, but that still doesn't feel right considering it took me 40+ minutes. I've posted this before but still funny to me. Dating a gymnast in high school. We'd go to a park and I see parallel bars that are designed for stretching but I'm convinced I can do a handstand on them because I'm awesome. She keeps insisting they are too far apart but I don't listen. Attempt said handstand. They were indeed too far apart so I collapsed down jamming my chest past my hands and tear all the ligaments holding my chest muscles to my breastbone. Good times were not had later or for a long while after. Embarrassing to admit but the only time I truly tried to impress a girl was in primary school when I was about 10 or 11. I would swear when she was near and always gave the impression I didn't give a duck. Backfired though. She just ended up thinking I had anger and behavioral issues. I drove from Virginia to New York to pick her up from an airport in NY, which was about an hour from where she went to school. But it worked so that was okay. Edited for clarity. Take up smoking in high school. Didn't get the guy and it took 15 years for me to quit smoking. Haven't been a smoker for almost 7 years now. Quitting smoking was one of the hardest things I have done. I tried to jump through a swing. The plan was to go headfirst through, do a somersault on the other side, and look super cool. I smoked my face on the wooden seat. I memorized the complete poetical works of Robert Frost. I intentionally threw multiple games of Uno to let a girl think she was amazing at the game. Took my friend to the driving range and she asked if her insanely hot friend could come as well. Said friend mentioned she's never hit a golf ball before so I'm thinking jackpot, I've got a way into talking to this girl and an excuse to ask her back out one-on-one if that goes well. Get to the range. Hit a couple of warm-up shots while she's getting her clubs rented and she takes the spot next to me. Decide really crush this ball to impress her and give the swing everything I've got. Missed the ball and clipped the ground and broke the club right off the pole. It proceeds to bounce back and smack me in the face and give me a solid shiner all while she's watching. Edit. Wow, thanks for the silver. Got into a downhill snowball fight while skiing at 30 miles per hour. Hit some ice and shattered my tibia. Learned all the words to Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back. I actually got one. I was 14. Totally fully in love with this girl from my class. Go to add. We kinda flirted for a whole year but got nowhere. She was the kind of girl who likes attention so you can imagine how she kept me hooked up knowing I had no chance. Since it was getting close to Valentine's Day, I decided I was going to impress her and make her mine. By learning how to play guitar and all her favorite songs. A whole week practicing like a madman and actually learned 2 songs I knew she loved. So fully prepared and convinced I'd hit jackpot. On the 14th I go to her house. Call her out telling her I had a surprise. She pops her head out of the door, sees me and my guitar and nopes the duck out of there, telling me to leave. Hey, at least I now know how to play a guitar. Edit. Damn, you really liked me getting a door slammed onto my face. D, thanks for my first mega upvoted post. I wore her super small hoodie a whole school day that also had a really strong perfume smell. Even got genuinely pissed at my friend when he jokingly tried to take it from me. I won a Fear Factor contest at a local festival completely randomly. She dared me to sign up and I did it on a whim. I was the first high schooler she knew who got my license. I drove us to hang out with friends of hers. Mostly guy friends. I guess she was trying to date one of them. Well, when I first got with my now husband, I wanted a change so I dyed my hair jet black. I'm very white. I don't ducking know why, but I used the box dye on my eyebrows too. I looked like a ducking freak and I thought it was so cute and he'd love it. What the duck is wrong with me? Ended up watching 13 Reasons Why because she said it was like the best show ever. PS. It wasn't. Man, I don't have much, but here goes. Way back in middle school was playing me some good ol' RuneScape. Some girl in Lumbridge, starter town, asked me directions for something. I told her I would show her how to get there, but instead of actually walking there I teleported nearby and told her to meet me. Felt super cool cause the ability to teleport to that location had a lot of requirements. Well, she never showed up, so I added her as a friend. Didn't see her till a week later. IDK how, but we started talking and eventually dating in RuneScape despite being a whole country apart. Fast forward and we've been together for almost 8 years. Still somewhat long distance, but we are both on the same side of the country now and usually see each other every month for at least a weekend and make it work. TLDR, was kind of a D in game trying to show off, and she never showed up to meeting location. She's now GF of 8 years. Edit. Ducky101 is lurking in some of these comments. Can confirm. Is GF. Edit 2. Thanks kind stranger for the goal. Wait, WTF. Does getting guild even count if it's your own GF giving it to you? SMH. Love you too, hun. Stabbed my leg with a kitchen knife. Sat through a marathon of the first 4 Twilight movies. In elementary school I liked this girl and I saw her touching her nose and I shouted, "EW, you're picking your nose," so people could hear. 20 years later and we're married with 2 kids. Nah, just kidding, we say hi sometimes when we pass each other on the street. Anyways, you're probably wondering how this was supposed to impress her. Well, my dumb tactic was that by embarrassing her she would think I was cooler than she was and anything embarrassing I would do would be excused because she got caught picking her nose. I know, in hindsight I was just being an irrational meanie. Learn Japanese. In hindsight, we have been going strong for 4 years now. Absolutely worth it. And no, learning Japanese never really helped me impress her. Who would have guessed that just being confident in myself was the thing that made her fall for me? I've told this story before, but when I was about 8 years old we took a field trip to the Field Museum here in Chicago. During our lunch break I decided to wander off to the gift shop and see what they had. I had a huge crush on this girl named Victoria in my class and I saw this ladybug ring for a couple of dollars. I knew she liked ladybugs and I had money my parents gave me to buy something at the shop. So I decided to buy the ring and give it to her. I was really nervous and kept waiting for the right time to do it. I eventually decided to just go for it and walked up to her near the end of the trip. She was with some of her friends which made me more nervous, but I found the courage to do it. She looked at the ring and laughed. Her friends joined her and she then tossed the ring in the trash. I was completely devastated and tried hard to hold back my tears. Even though I'm over it now, that completely ducked my confidence with girls for a long time. Looking back, I may have embarrassed her too giving it to her in front of her friends, which is why she reacted that way. But whatever the case, it's probably the most embarrassed I have been in my life. This past year I threw a fairly large college house party just so the guy I liked could attend. I didn't want to show him too much favoritism, So I tried to run around and talk to everyone as I was the main host. Luckily my best friend kept him company and acted as my faithful wingwoman. The night ended with me and my crush talking outside, getting closer and closer, until he asked me if I threw the party for him. Even being drunk didn't soften the blow of straight awkwardness. I tried to laugh it off and deflect, but I'm a terrible actor lol. Looking back, it was kind of obvious the entire party was an excuse to see him, and I now understand why I liked reading The Great Gatsby so much in high school. Signed up for a French class in high school because the girl I like was in one. Turns out she was into me too. But my dumbass signed up for French 1 when she was already in it, and the following year she was in French 2 and I was sitting all alone in French 1 in a class I didn't care about. Watch TV shows, then pretend to like them because they did. I never want to think about Supernatural ever again. And to donate blood with a girl. She didn't donate due to iron deficiency. I saved 3 lives. I did find out my blood type, O+. I still donate to this day. Edit. Thank you for the silver kind person I was flirting in class and I asked what school she went to. I tried to do a front flip off a trampoline and land on the ground on my feet, but ended up doing 1.5 front flips and landing on my face. My senior year of HS, I told one of my best friends, who was also this sweet, beautiful, very in shape, football playing boy, to throw the football as high as he possibly could and I would catch it. You know, to impress him and make him realize I was the girl of his dreams. He threw it high. I did not catch it. I did fracture my pointer finger when it bounced off my hands. Had to wear a friggin' finger cast to school for a few weeks and go to physical therapy for my finger. He felt terrible. I felt like an idiot. He did buy me I'm sorry flowers though, so that was nice. People at school thought my finger brace was hilarious, since I was constantly walking around giving a number 1 hand gesture due to the brace. Everyone at school started giving me the number 1 gesture when I walked by them. Good times. Got a tattoo to impress a girl in my psych class. It did nothing and now I have a piece of it pieced by a guy named Philly Steve on my leg forever. Call me if you see this. Ashley. Got up on stage and sang karaoke with modified lyrics directed at them. Also got 3 other guys to help me out, one of whom had a girlfriend, but that I knew the girl I was trying to impress liked despite that fact. They all told me it was a bad idea. I should have listened. Last I heard she had gotten married, had 2 children and was happily doing her thing. As for me, in the 15 years since, I got married 6.5 years ago and have my first child on the way, due in 3 weeks here. I was about 14 and met this dime who was vegan. She was cool and punk, and did I mention she was a dime? Anyway, when she told me she was vegan, I told her I used to be, but now I'm bulimic. Needless to say, I wasn't sure what being bulimic meant at the time. If you put a strike anywhere match into a straw and blow it onto the sidewalk, it makes a pop and lights where it hits, so I fired them all around my crush's feet. It scared her and my plan failed lol. He mentioned he liked this little independently owned pizza place across town. We were in college and I didn't have a car, so I took a bus across town to pick up this pizza and bring it to our informal club meeting. Took like an hour round trip on the bus with a giant 18 inches pizza, and it was definitely cold by the time I got there. Offered him some and he turned it down, so I later learned that he was a super picky eater and didn't like any of the toppings I got. One of my friends helped me eat the pizza. I must have impressed him some other way, though, since we've now been together for almost 6 years. Edit. I realize this wasn't dumb so much as funny misguided. Oh well. We had a mutual friend and we organized to surprise this mutual friend for their birthday with a surprise dinner before going out on a bar crawl. Was hoping to show her that I could be a pretty cool dude, helping out with this surprise and cooking a pretty good meal. Ended up getting blackout drunk at the bar crawl, and apparently I tried to push her into a frozen river. Not such a cool dude move. Oh. Finally, I can tell this story. My sister was driving me back to college after Thanksgiving break, and there was this cool girl who drove a yellow Jeep Wrangler who I had some classes with. On the road getting closer to the school, I saw a yellow Jeep coming up next to us in the left lane. Of course, I thought it had to be her. I was in the passenger seat, and decided it would be a great idea to open the sunroof, stick my head out, and say hello. Mind you, we're going about 60 miles per hour and I wear glasses. I opened the sunroof, stuck my head out, turned to face the upcoming car, and my glasses flew off my face. I am practically blind without them. I yelled at my sister to pull over, and we spent the next 30 minutes wandering around the side of the highway, blind, to try and find my frames. They got pretty smashed up, but luckily the lenses weren't too scratched. I was able to get some duct tape and a pair of sunglasses at a gas station and rig up the monstrosities I wore on my face for the rest of that semester. No cash for new ones. To this day I still don't know if it was her driving that Jeep. Can't locate the post, but on a similar post a guy commented that in elementary school he liked a girl with glasses and didn't want her to feel like an outcast, so he would come home from school every day and stare right into a light bulb to try to damage his eyes and need glasses. I was around 13 and I saw him once playing with Caracas. Don't know the English name, but this balls, so I decided to learn in order to impress him. I practiced almost every day, no matter the weather, and got 1,000 bruises, but I never got his attention beyond that one time he tried to steal my Discman. No regrets. Fun times. Told some girl I liked in 7th grade that a kid pushed me down the bleachers to elicit sympathy. The kicker is that she was there when it would have happened. She did not believe me, LMAO. Also the same girl I asked out while knowing she had a boyfriend. I was a dumbest 12-year-old. Sat next to a girl I really liked in high school calc. She would get upset because I'd get A's on tests and she kept getting C's. She cared a lot about grades, so I tried to be comforting, saying it's a hard class. I have a lot of lucky guesses, etc. She was having none of it, so I decided to get a C on purpose on the next test. We got them back and I was all excited to show her, but she got hers back and she failed. Like below 50% failed. She wasn't impressed with my C and neither were my parents. In elementary school, I was somewhat of a ladies' man. One time at lunch, I thought, hey, maybe if I shove this straw up my nose, all the girls will think it's funny, then proceeded to do so. 10 seconds later, there was blood all over my food because of a bloody nose and I had to be escorted to the nurse. Had to see a specialist for a few months afterwards. Lesson learned. I was about 9 and I was super into Pokemon. Thought the boy I liked was into it too. I tried to impress him by constantly spouting Pokemon facts at him. Turns out he wasn't into it at all and he thought I had autism. I knew the girl. A guy was trying to impress her while she was skiing. He was on a jet ski and was jumping the wake behind her. Of course he screws up and ends up hitting her in the back with the jet ski. She goes to the hospital with super serious injuries. She didn't know since she was out, but he felt terrible and basically lived in her hospital room. She eventually came to, not sure how many days she was out due to surgeries and stuff. She was super nice and forgave the guy, especially because he spent so much time in her room. Well, of course they kept hanging out and she was in total denial that the guy liked her, but eventually they started dating and they got engaged and I believe they got married. I left the area before that happened. Was playing basketball at lunch in high school when 3 girls walked by. I didn't have the ball, so I couldn't impress them with my dribbling skills. So instead I decided to jump and hang on the rim, cause that's what the ladies like. But my fingers slipped off and I fell 10 feet onto my back, knocking the wind out of me. The whole gym looked on in horror, yelling damn. I tried to laugh it off, but the contraction from laughing caused me to scream out in pain. 2 friends had to carry me off the court, help me change out of my shorts into pants, and drive me to the hospital. When I was in grade 5 I had a massive crush on this guy in my class. I was the typical weird girl and he was one of the hockey boys that only hang out with the popular girls. Anyways, on my birthday I decided to tell him I had a crush on him. I was decently close friends with the boy he hung out with often, so I asked him what I should do. I regret asking his opinion looking back now. So at lunch recess we all go out to play in the snow and I managed to corner and maintain my crush's attention long enough to tell him how I felt. He pushed me, I spilled on ice, fell face first and broke my nose. It's still a bit crooked to this day, but I'm pleased to say I got hot and he looks like a mutant mole rat now. Oh, I'm in it for the long con. To impress this one girl, I worked really hard to act like I was a good person with personality. I conned her into thinking I was a kind person by simulating one via being attentive to her needs and feelings and totally faking her out by spending time acting as if I wasn't completely self-involved. Over time, I even tricked her into believing that I'm a good parent by hornswiggling her into seeing me show care to our kids, acting like a person who teaches good manners and empathy and how to ride bikes and so on. We're coming up on like 20 years together and she still thinks I'm a good person. Ha ha ha. So it's totally working. Man, people are suckers. In kindergarten, I lifted a chair over my head in hopes that the girls would see me. I just ended up getting in trouble. Also in kindergarten, we had bathrooms in the actual classroom and I saw that a girl was struggling to open the door. I thought I could be strong and help her, so I go open the door and there is another girl in there using it. Got in trouble again. I'm not sure how much these relate to the question, but it made me think back to it anyway, so I thought I'd share. Freshman year in high school. Had a crush on a classmate, we'll call him Al. Seemed like he liked me too, but he was popular, so you never know if it's just them doing the whole smooth friends with everyone yet borderline flirting kind of act. So I decided to profess my love via a poem. I thought it would impress him to show my mad rhyming skills and my absolute adoration for alliteration. Go to L's locker during a restroom break. Shove that 4 pages thick bad boy in those tiny little windows of ventilation, and then after the bell rings, giggle and hide with my girlfriends as we watch from afar, waiting for him to go to his locker so my shower of love could befall upon him. Welp. Turns out I stuffed it into the wrong locker. Let's call him Jay, a kid I generally did not get along with. Jay is at first shocked, confused that his enemy wrote him a poem, because I couldn't keep it anonymous and play it cool. Nope. No sir, I had to write poem written with love by Kismet as the freaking title. Then Jay realizes that I did not mean for these love notes to be for him and quickly starts calling out for the entire freshman year to come over. I start to rush over with every intention of shutting him up, but my friends hold me back. Till this day I still have no idea why they stopped me. Anyway, Jay starts reading out my poems and even L is there to listen to them, and at the end, there was even a declaration to L, of sorts, where I basically ask L if he would be my boyfriend. Laughter, pitiful looks, the whole ordeal. I was mortified. L was never friendly with me again. Never let me explain or apologize for humiliating him. The bright side though, people forgot about it by sophomore year. I still had a lot of friends, and my English teachers heard about it and thought I had talent. So I pursued a writing major after that. Oh. And I beat up Jay in the handball court after school like a week later. Haha. PS. If this post gets enough attention, I'll try to find the poems to post it here. Haha.